In terms of, an agenda, well, first of all, welcome everybody to the second Tableau user group event. We had one earlier, was it not in April, Etido? Earlier this year. We weren't an official Tableau user group then, but now we are. And I'm very happy to present to you our maps and data analysis in Tableau event. It starts with me introducing Tableau, new developments. I'm going to breeze through that, right? Because we have elapsed, the time for that. And Gbolahan is going to go with creating and using a custom Mapbox map in Tableau. I think it's a very, very nice skill to pick up. And then Etido is going to come forward and take us through controlling data points dynamically using nested sorts and parameters. Idris in Lagos is also joining us. He's going to be taking us through how to drill through maps using dynamic, whichever method, right? A break, of course, for us to catch up on small chops. I don't think you're like tea and sandwich, but we're going to have some small chops. And Professor Dennis is going to join us. He's extremely skilled at designing custom maps, and we're going to learn how to design better maps using some really interesting tips that he has. Then we're going to do some competition. We're a competition, right? I'll give you more details later, but it's about using internally generated revenue versus the federal allocation per state in Nigeria. It'd be nice to display it here, but we're going to work with this. We're going to work with this, right? And you're going to use like shape maps to accentuate and sort of present your insights. And at the end of the day, there's going to be swag giveaway. We're going to wrap up. And yeah, that will conclude the Tableau event. So let's get started, right? Okay, this is taken. Let me just do this. So I will, of course, has anybody not used Tableau here? Never used Tableau. Never used Tableau. Okay, that's not bad. I mean, 2 out of 8 is just 25% that haven't used Tableau. That's fine. I'll take you through the products that we have in Tableau, the new developments from, I think, 2021.4, just brief through it to 2023.3. Those are the versions of Tableau. And of course, the Tableau community, which is a core part of you using Tableau and engaging in Tableau. Tableau is a visual analytics platform. It's a leading analytics platform. It's a collection of different tools that enable you to solve problems with data and visually help people to, make decisions using data. The core point is to be very data-driven. And the Tableau community is huge. I'll get to that, right? Like more than 1 million people are active, 500 plus, user groups worldwide, and so many events and initiatives for you to engage in, right? So you can learn Tableau. The core offering, right? Tableau is called Tableau Desktop, right? It's fully packed with all the things you need to analyze, visualize data. Very similar interface, drag and drop. And it's very, very secure. You can leverage, data governance infrastructure, Tableau Desktop and Tableau Cloud, which I'm going to get to. And there's some other exciting features, right? Like augmented analytics, of course, like sharing and collaborating, adding dashboard extensions, and hundreds and hundreds of connectors that you can, connect to. By connectors, I mean, oh, you want to connect to like a CRM tool, or you want to connect to the web, or you want to connect to a database, Redshift, Google BigQuery, Postgres, whatever, right? Those are all connectors. And there are some interesting AI implementations like leverage as well. Tableau Prep is Tableau's novel data transformation tool. You need to connect to a data source, mix and merge, create new columns, write some custom code, essentially transform, shape, prepare your data before bringing it into Tableau, right? That's what Tableau Prep is. At any point in time, please just stop me, ask a question, right? And included in Tableau's core products is data management, right? It pretty much helps you to deliver trusted data, right, to people in the way that they want, in the way that they need it to, right? So if you look at your data architecture over here, you have databases, you have, some cloud functions, some scripts, some CRM tools. There's an enterprise data catalog and entity relationship diagram that tells you how all of these data sources are related. But then within Tableau, there's also a catalog, right, that can help you sort of, would you say, desegregate, create virtual connections, create a more defined, would you say, catalog of your data. So it helps you in your organization trust your data. You can certify certain data sets. You can label columns, and it's a metadata, would I say, architecture that just helps you, bring your data together and get it to the people that need to use it. If you're in data governance in your organization, you're going to find this very, very exciting because they layer on top of sort of the enterprise data catalog that data engineers or database architects already have, right? And of course, Tableau Public, right? It's the free platform where you can explore, create, and publicly share your data visuals. You cannot save your visuals on your system because we encourage you to do it in public. And it's free. There are some limitations on the size of data that you can, you can have, and of course, limitations in terms of the connectors, right? Databases and stuff that you can connect to. It's fully hosted, so your viz online can be viewed by millions of people at the same time. You can also put it into your application, into your web application. And it's generally like what we advise for people starting into Tableau to get involved in. Tableau Public is awesome. Yeah. Get Tableau Desktop. Yeah. Right. And of course, their Tableau Public as well can also be the server version as well. Yeah, Tableau server, Tableau online can do. Yeah. Yeah, you can. You can, but if somebody has the link, it's still in public. Hiding is only for people not to discover it from your profile, but it's still online, right? You can have hidden visits. If I come into your profile, I'm not going to see it. But if I have a link, it's public, it's available there, right? Yeah. New developments, virtual connections. I use this a lot. I love it. If you're in Tableau Cloud, you can connect to a database, a schema, bringing together multiple different tables, right, that you want in a specified connection. So you can say maybe this connection is only for data on operations, right? And in that operations virtual connection, you put in data of customers, sales, all of those things. And you can share that connection. It will also automatically carry the credentials embedded, right? So people don't need to sign in every time. I think it's just really, really great feature, right? Of course, like it's also, if you make changes in your database, you can go to your virtual connection, update those changes. You can set certain rules, right? Depending on how you want the data to be accessed. So there's data policies that you can leverage from within virtual connections. Yeah, I'm gonna move forward to copy and paste dashboards. Dashboards, right? Since 2021.4, Tableau allows you to quickly create, make dashboard creation much faster. So you can copy and paste text boxes, containers, etc. Right? All of these things. It's very, very useful feature, right? Workbook Optimizer from 2022.1. Now you can, right, from desktop or from online, access a feature that tells you, oh, like, there's an unused data source. It gives you like a review of, how fast your workbooks load. And of course, like more important, like some suggestions to ensure that you have the most optimized workbook, right, before you publish, etc. Data stories are very, very useful feature. Right? It gives you like a summary of your dashboard, right? Summary of the insights that it's getting from the dashboard. You can choose which stories to include or which ones not to include. I think it's a neat feature, especially for self-service usage, right? Not very technical users, etc. They will find this very useful. 2022.3 DVV. I think it's really, really awesome feature. Before now, you'd use a combination of parameters and multiple calculated fields, right? Just to be able to tailor certain experiences, right, for users when they click on your dashboards. Now you have like dynamic zone visibility, which really helps you to like make dashboard design much faster, right, in terms of tailoring experiences to your end user. Over here, for instance, you click on Burner Boy, you see everything about Burner Boy. Click on Davido, you see everything about Davido. Just very, 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 very impressive. You should see the myriads of like visualizations, right, that people are now able to make, right, or accomplish using the DZV. Image row. So now you can bring in a URL, right, that has some data hosted. Now you can bring in a URL that has some data hosted, that has like an image hosted externally, like on your a web host, a web platform. And by the time you bring it into Tableau, you can just right click and change the data type or the role of that column to image. And you start seeing like the specific images displayed. I think it's pretty neat, very helpful. 2022.4 also had some really useful, features like replace data source per sheet. Before now, if you try to replace data source, it would do everything for like the entire workbook. But now you can change and replace data source per sheet. And proper, it's a small change, but it's so useful. Like when you want to make like the text look like this, right? To say, hey, like make it proper, right? Start with the first letter of the text should be like a capital letter, right? Etc. It's very, 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 very useful in some issues, in some cases. Dynamic axis titles in 2023, right? You can alter the title of your axis based on a value in the parameter that you choose. An example is shown there, right? That you can see. You choose profit, it changes the title of the axis to profit. You choose discount, changes it to discount. Gonna move forward as well. Line patterns. If you have ever tried to create dotted lines in Tableau before 2022.3, you would have had a woozy, taking a woozy approach to do it. But hey, now you can, right? And it's very, very useful to, like, if you're creating, like, like some KPI metrics, this year versus previous year, this week versus the previous week, very, very useful addition. I'm going to end here on 2022.3 with dynamic axis ranges and custom data labels, right? The custom data labels extend on the feature of, Tableau's data management and the data catalog, right? So now you can label specific data sets, specific connections according to, now you can label specific data sets, specific data catalogs according to, according to a particular nomenclature, or you say a way in which your organization would appreciate it better, right? You can issue data quality warnings and add sensitivity labels. You're also able to connect to the data labels API so that you can automatically label certain data sets programmatically before getting into Tableau. And dynamic axis ranges just allows you to, of course, like leverage parameters as well, so that your axis can change dynamically following a set start and end, would I say range. I haven't used it. It's pretty new, but I think it's very important to have that in mind. I'm almost done with my presentation. The Tableau community, right? 2 million plus students. You have hundreds of thousands of questions and ideas, right, shared on forums. It's actually one of the really, really great sources of getting help, right? You need something online, you just search for it. There's almost somebody or two people or more have answered the question, they've given you like a solution. Tableau Public, millions of visualizations for you to find inspiration. They are non-conventional visuals, right? Jaw-dropping, inspiring, just thought-provoking visuals that you're going to find on Tableau Public. And over 500 in-group, in-person and virtual Tableau user group like we have here. This is one, right? Data farm. Tableau is nothing without its community, right? I was inspired by the Tableau community, by, the constant like visualizations that people put out there. They were so inspiring to me that, when I started Tableau back in 2021, almost every week I did like a Makeover Monday Viz, You can get involved by participating like weekly data challenges, back to Viz basics, Makeover Monday, Viz for social good, right? Which tends to be a, much, tends to be a much more, it tends to be like much more thoughtful, would I say, visualization challenge, right? They work with NGOs and you spend some time, a month, 3 weeks, really thinking about designing a data story. And connect with ambassadors, answer questions in forums, right? Participate in IMVs. The winner of this year's IMVs is going to earn 15K. I'm like, what? 15K? Like USD, right? It's like spend 4 or 5 months preparing for that single axe swing, right? It's like, and maybe you might cut down the tree. Who knows? And of course, like join Tableau user group events, right? It's very important to understand that in the Tableau community, right, there's a lot of emphasis on kindness, on respect, on giving credit when due, on helping people, on sharing knowledge, right? This is how and why we encourage people to build in public. When you get that visualization out, hashtag data farm, always. And that's pretty much it for my presentation. And if anybody has any questions for me. Yeah. Yeah, so we plan to be able to organize maybe at least one every it's meant to be once every quarter, but once every half year would be great at the very least. So this is the second for the year, and we're going to be wrapping it up for the year. Yes. Etido, we have a WhatsApp group now. Yeah. Yeah. I suppose like we could take it even further by creating like a special like, social media page, maybe Twitter, right? So it would better help people discover what we're doing and help us, reach more people as well. Yeah. Okay, cool. So, thank you very much. That ends my presentation. We're going to go now to GB. GB, are you there? I'm going to stop sharing. Thank you for your patience. I really, really appreciate it. I don't take that for granted. Thank you so much. So let me see. Should be able to share your screen. And before you do that, I want to see if we can go into a larger screen. So 1 second. GB, please. That was a flop. Please go ahead.
Okay. Okay.
I think you can share your screen directly, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to like leave and join back because my system says I have to give permission first. So just me.
He's going to join back. Yeah.
Can you see me? Can you hear me? To see my screen. Can you see my screen?
You can see you, Jim, or come see your screen. You can see you, Jim, we can't see your screen.
Yes. Can you see now?
Yeah, we can see your screen now. You're on location intelligence, is it?
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Great. Yeah, thank you.
Amplify
Hi.
your voice.
Sorry?
We're trying to amplify your voice.
Okay.
Can you hear from there? Can you hear him from there? You can hear him. Can you hear from there?
You can hear me, right?
All right. Yeah, we can, if you can hear you, but we're trying to see how to make it better.
All right. Sure. I would also try to talk as loud as I can.
Did you say you tried to talk as loud as?
Yes, I said so, yeah. I will.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Can I start now or you're still trying to amplify?
No, please go ahead.
Oh, sure. Thank you. So hi everyone. I'm Gbolahan Adebayo, and I would basically just be sharing adding like custom map box to like your Tableau views. Like so like for the next time you're trying to like build a map and you would like to have something a little bit custom, like based on your preferences. I think this is a very good way to do that. And we'll be using like Mapbox, which is like it's easy to set up and like get started with very easily. So first we would first have to you must first have like a Tableau public account and the Tableau public desktop version at the very least, or Tableau desktop. So you could be able to like connect to data in the first place and have the fields ready and be able to like create like your map in Tableau like by default before creating like whatever version you want to create like a map box. So first I would go to like mapbox.com and you would have to sign up if you do not have an account, or if you do have one, then you just have to like log in. In this case, I'm going to log in and just input my email. Sorry?
Can you give us a second?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm just trying to like sign in. So if you're opening mapbox.com for the first time, you would either have to like create like an account, or like if you have one, then you just like log in, which I'm trying to do now. And then once you do, it's going to let me hide this. Okay. So once you do, then you would see this view right here, and you can go ahead to like create a map in Studio. So we just click on this. So right here, you would see like your account information and all of that. So you can just like go ahead to create a map in Studio. Then it's going to like open a new tab, and right here you can choose the style depending on whatever you're trying to do. But we can first create the basic map in Tableau first. So sorry, yeah. So right now I'm connected to a data set from the Makeover Monday project. It's about like street level temperatures in like New York City. You can have the link, or you can just go to makeovermonday.com and go to like the data set. It's 2023 with 39, and basically would download like this CSV file and just connect to it
Jimmy.
directly. Yeah, can you hear me?
Are you okay taking a step back 2-3 minutes and take it over again? You're loud and clear now. Please go ahead.
All right, sure. Just going to do that. So I am going to basically just be showing how to build like a very simple custom map box like in Tableau. So you have like your default maps in Tableau. And if you are looking to create something customized according to your preferences, you could just create this kind of map in Mapbox and then get it into your Tableau viz and have it the way you would want to. So I'm basically going to be showing how to first create your account in Mapbox and creating your style. You can use like default styles, or you can create one customized according to your preferences. If you have like several colors for like land or water, I'll basically try to show that. And after we get to like bring it into like Tableau, and yeah, show it that way. So basically, right now I am connected to a data set from the Makeover Monday project, like I shared. You can go to makeovermonday.com and you can see several weeks with different data sets. And right now I'm working like with week 39, street level temperatures in New York City. And you can download the data directly by clicking on the link underneath the data column for here, like in the 39. So if I click on this, then it's going to take me directly to this particular page in which you can sign in or join, and then you'll be able to like download this CSV file and connect to it directly in your Tableau Public desktop version or Tableau desktop. So you would have to have a Tableau Public account. You would have to have or download the Tableau Public desktop app from pretty easy. Just go to Tableau Public, discover Tableau Public, and you can download the Tableau desktop public version from here. And once you have it downloaded, and then you can connect to the CSV file that you have downloaded from like the Makeover Monday website. So I've done that already. So I have it connected right now. Just so some of the fields and some just little calculations for like the extra parts of the dashboard. But to first initially create the visualization like for the map by default in Tableau, so you can just double click into the latitude and into the longitude, and then it shows it directly like on the map by default. Tableau like makes that process easy. And because we want to show like the different boroughs like in this, so this is already like a geographic data type. So we just need to like put this into the detail, and it's going to sort of expand the view and then show the 4 different locations that we have. And so this is how it looks like in what's it called, in Tableau by default. You can go to map to sort of show some other information like the label for like the cities, which like show the cities so that you can see which cities they are in, and they're in coastline, depending on like whatever you want to add to the view. So this is what Tableau offers like by default. But if you want to sort of create a customized version like for yourself, like a map then you get to use like Mapbox to do this. And to go to Mapbox, you just need to go to mapbox.com. So I could just go to mapbox.com. And right here, you would either have to log in or sign in. I think right now I'm already like logged in. So I just go to the accounts and then to take me to this page where I'll be able to like see, you see like your account information at the top right hand side here. And if you are trying to create like the map in this case, so the first you see like the option to design a custom map style in Mapbox Studio. And then you click on this link, which is going to open like a new tab. And you would be able to access this view after that. So here you can select a style. So if you have like several styles already created, if you've done this before, so you can click on any of this and it will open them. But for this particular case, we are trying to like create a new style. And so we just click on new style. And then you have several options here as to what to make it look like. So streets, monochrome, outdoors, navigation, satellite streets. So you can choose any of these options based on like your choice. So for this particular use case, I'm going to be selecting like a monochrome, and you can select it in different colors, right? So you can show it in the light, dark, sky, bubblegum, midnight, and golden. So any of this, you can choose any of these and even also like further customize them. For this use case, I'm going to just select, let's say, dark, because I still want to like sort of customize it a little bit to my own choice. So you can select between light or dark, any of them. So let me go with like light, and then I can then customize this. So if I click on customize monochrome, then it's going to open a view where you would be able to see like the different layers of this right here. And right here, you would see the different layers of what you have like in the map, and you can switch things as much as you want to. It's very, very customizable depending on your choice and the level to which you want to customize this. But for this use case, I don't want to do too much, just probably like change the color for the land and the water and maybe like the label. So first, we are trying to build something, something relating to like New York. So we would just have to go back to the map box and search for New York. So like we have it a little bit. You can down to that. So I click on New York, and then you get to see like this full information. You can decide to zoom in and zoom out depending on like the level in which like you want to show things. So in this case, I think I'm focused on seeing some of like these boroughs like Manhattan and Brooklyn and the rest of them. So just depending on your choice as to like which level you want to take things to. So you can just zoom in just a bit and see Brooklyn here, and see Jackson Heights, and you know all these different locations depending on what you want to see. So in this case, I would just try to customize a little bit of like the land and then the water. So to do that, you can just click into any of these points, and then you'll get to see like the layer in which you can customize. So for example, this is land, and if I click into land, I can choose the level in which I want this to show in. So if I want to change the color, for example, for how the land looks like, all I need to like click into the land and then click on the color, and then it brings out like this view. And I can click on the color here and then change it. So you can pick a color. So I think I have like a color palette I want to like work with. So right here, so let me just make it smaller. So I can sort of pick this. So let's say I want to pick, oh, sorry, I have to keep sending it to the back. Maybe I should just with more space. Yeah. So let's say I choose this, for example. And then for the second one, just this, and you would have it like change, and you can also like change the color of the like water. So for water, I could like click on this, have something like this white view right here. Maybe for land, I could maybe make it a little bit darker. Break this. Then it's click change this to, and then we can have something like this. And then for the water, we can pick this color right here. And then we have something like this. And then you can have something like this, depending on like whatever choice that you want to make in terms of like the color and all that. So I'm just trying to like keep it very simple, just changing like how this part of things like how it looks like. So we can like change the way the labels look like too. So the label, I think, and just, oh no, that's everything there. For the label, we can select on this, so it looks like this. We can change the fonts depending on like whatever you want to make it look like. So let's say I'm changing it to this, making it like look a little bit bolder, or this basically. And you can just, like I said, like it's very customizable, depending on like how much you want to do that. And so you already have this right here. Let's say we're just going to customize it to this level. And then to be able to take it into Tableau, first you need to publish it. And then while publishing it, you would see like the way it looks like current view. And then after this is how it looks like right now. And then after you publish it, then this is how it's going to look like. And so you can publish, and it's successfully published. We can change the name or the title to be probably New York Custom. And then you get to save it. And to be able to take it to Tableau, you just have to click on share. Then you make public under this option. So it's just a very sequential process. And then click on OK. And then to be able to take it to Tableau, you would have to click on like third party right here. And then you see the drop down. You get to see like Tableau amongst like the different third party apps in which you can do this too. So you click on Tableau, and then you just copy the link. And then you have the link already like in your clipboard. And so to bring it directly to the view, you go into like your Tableau views, like this is at the worksheets level. And then you go to like the map, and you go to background maps, and then you add a map box map. And so when you click on add map box map, you have the style name. So we can call it like, let's say NYC maps. And then you can paste the URL that you've copied there. And then you click on OK. And then it imports whatever you have like from Mapbox like directly to the view. So for this case, we might just want to like add the labels of like these boroughs so that like we can have like the title or the names of like these different places, and like maybe make the circles like a little bit bigger. So we can just add this to label. Then this is okay. And we can make this circle a little bit bigger in terms of size, or we can also like make the circle look like a target point by duplicating the latitude. And then for the second part of things, we can remove the color entirely and like add a borderline. Just add this line there or whatever. So let's say for like the first color, we want to make it this particular color, like to represent this color, for example. Then we can do this. We can increase the size slightly bigger. Yes. And then also increase the, so let me just put the size like right in the middle. And then also increase the size of the second, like right here. And then you can make it dual axis and reduce the size of the first one slightly. So that it looks like a little bit like a target. And then we can remove the title from like this one. So like it doesn't show it twice. And then we can have it like this. And so like that way you can just easily create your custom map box, like have something created in map box and bring it to the Tableau and then like just try to like switch things up and change the view. And you can then go to your dashboard and insert it. I think I have a dashboard I built, like very similar. So I already have like this different worksheets built for each of the different boroughs to show like their temperature according like over the months and like to show the tooltips and all of that. And so this right here is just done very similarly to what we have. So I already have like the color of the water and then the land done in map box. Then I imputed it or like brought it into Tableau like from here and just reduce the opacity of like the circles, made it look like a bullet mark like on the different parts of the map, and then just add the remaining parts of like the dashboard like this. And yeah, that way you can just easily do that. So I think I have some examples here of different visualizations that like sort of use like this custom map box, so you can see just some very nice examples of how people are able to like, you can leverage this to improve the way your maps look like. And yeah, so that's it. Thank you. If you have any questions. I think the Zoom is blurred out, so I probably can see.
How about this?
That's good. So I just want to ask, we saw your color palette. Can you hear us? Yeah,
yes,
and,
yes, I can. Yes,
yeah.
I can hear you.
So we saw
Yes.
your color palette and they were cool. They were very cool to the eye. And I'm sure many people struggle with how to select color palette. You want to talk us quickly through that?
Oh yeah, sure. So for me, for my colors, basically I either like take inspiration from like people's visits like on Tableau Public, or I just go to like Adobe Color and then just play around with things. So or I also like use Pinterest like to find inspiration for like colors. I'm sharing my screen. I don't know if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen, guys? Sorry. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. Okay. So I have like my Pinterest board where I like keep a lot of like dashboard inspirations that I get to see on Pinterest. So this is like a board like where I just go to Pinterest and then I save a lot of like just several different visualizations. So I could probably like want to use any color palette from like any of these from like my next viz, depending on what I'm trying to show. So this is like one way I get to like choose colors. So for example, if I like this particular color palette and I'm inspired by it, I could like download this image and go to colors.co image picker. Just for example, download this as an image and go to this point and just bring it in. We downloaded one, for example, this, and sort of create my palette from like this. So depending on like whatever I want to use. So for this, I just play around with things basically. And yeah, so this is like one way in which I do that. And then another way also is to, like I said, go to Tableau Public. There are lots of like really amazing works And if I probably like see any work I'm inspired by, or like I like the color, same thing, like probably download and like check through the colors, try to extract like a palette from it and then get to use it. And then also thirdly, I also like use Adobe color palettes. So this is like gives several list of different palettes depending on like what you're looking for. And you can also like go around to play around with things from here and select or search for different categories like neutral palette or primary colors or spring or any of this. So from any of these several options, this is just basically like what I use if I'm trying to like look for inspiration for like my color palettes. I don't know if that helps. But yeah.
One last question. I'm interested in your
Pinterest board?
Yeah. So can you share the link?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. I would do I would do that. Yeah, sure. It's publicly available. Yes, I can do that. So I could probably put it in the chat, right?
You can share it on the.
Let me see. Yes. So yep, I have it in the chat, so you can like just click on the link and then you can like see everything. And then you can also like explore and like add more things. So I use it for inspiration for like color and then for also like the way I could like lay out my next piece or a chart or something to inspire like what next I'm going to do basically. But yes.
Thanks. First, thank you because I really did not even know you could do this. My question is I think I've not heard of Markov. So like is there a subscription and like what are the limitations? If he has a free test,
Oh.
the paid and if what's the price of it?
No, I think like to do like the most basic things, I think like it's actually free. I think for everything I did, like for this presentation I had, like it was actually free. So I think like for the pricing, you could like check out the website. I do not really know much about that for like, but for most of the basic stuff that you would want to do in terms of like your custom map that you would want to build, then I think you can actually do for like most of them like free. And not just Mapbox, there's QGIS, there are also like really amazing other tools out there that I think you can also get access to a lot of very useful features for free. So yeah.
Just GIS, I think. Can you link that to Tableau?
Yes, you can. Yes, I think Professor Dennis is like really good at that. So maybe you could like make mention about that. But yes, you can too. You can do that. Right?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, sure. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you so much, Jimmy. Really fantastic presentation. I thought that was awesome, as always. Yeah. Link to what? Yeah, he's dropped it. The link is in the chat. I'll share that. All right.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, sorry. I Etido is going to take the next presentation. He's back in. He stepped out a bit before, but he's back in now. So Tableau is installed. Just take it away. Share the screen.
All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Etido. Yeah, and we're home. So I live in Abuja, he lives in Abuja. So I was gonna share something pretty simple, but tips and tricks. And we're always around to work with you So that's why we have the community, as in the local community. So I'll share something pretty simple and the tips and tricks you can use to get things around. Okay, what am I going to share? Just put Tableau on. Basically, what I want to talk about is using parameters to sort. Let me quickly just show you two. Tableau public. Yeah, it is. Okay, to every other person. Oh, that's true. I can share my whole screen, is it? Multiple participants on the share simultaneously. Sure. No, it feels different when you use someone's laptop, really. I'm just going to try to run the scale. Yeah, I just want to see if I could quickly pull my profile and just see something. I wish I could just find on it, Abi. That's a fun one. Okay, let me type plus. Let's see. Okay, did I go the wrong one? Okay. I'll show you this one first, and then there's. You were asking if when something is hidden, it's actually really hidden, not really. So I want to just get into the hidden part. It's if someone picks your link, you picks it. Okay, look at this. Did you notice we can filter by? Now these are. You see clearly. I know it's small. The print is small, really, but if you look at this, you see there is every industry. Look at these. You have the telecom, industrial, financial, consumer. Every industry here has what? A market cap. It has a share price, and it has what other thing? A yield. Looking at stock market, really. Huh? Now the game here is to be able to, and you know, on the. Oh, I don't know if I should stand here. Now, if you're working with a data set, that's a column of its own. Do you understand what I mean? It's a column of its own, market price, yield, and all of that. I'm going to show you something similar. Now, how do you integrate it such that you can actually filter by which of them has the highest market cap? And that's telecom at 9,502 billion. Yeah, if you see it's going down, this is 8. Now you can actually go and filter by price. With price, to telecom still comes first, but this time around, utilities come second. Does it make sense? So pretty much that's what I'm going to try to just walk us through in a few minutes. So I'm going to go to Tableau desktop, and then we'll use our almighty superstore. So open a new. So this time around, we're going to be sorting using stock price, profit, and sales. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, so why am I here, man? Come on. So let's get this done. To make it pretty simple and easy, I would use region. So location. So what do I have here? It's going to be profits. And I'm going to have sales. Now, to get this done, I might have some challenges. So I'm just, because it's going to show as bars, you know, it's a measure. So because it's a measure, I'm just going to make a cheat with a 0, a false placeholder. So on the first 0, I want sales to go up. So I'm going to take the false 0 on the first, I'm sorry. Okay, oh, sorry. Okay. Okay, so let me stop here. Are you up to this point? Okay, so load it again. It's Superstore. Yeah, so I'm going to take off these completely. So 0 is off. I'm taking this off entirely. So you have region. Are you up to that point? Yeah, okay, welcome. So, no, because we started late, we didn't even take time to introduce ourselves. But I think we'll do that later. Yeah, tea break, yeah. Okay, so ready to go? Okay, so I put a 0 there like a false placeholder. And on this 0, I'm just going to take sales and drop it there. I'm going to make it a text file. Are we together? Now, and same thing, I'm going to use profit and drop it. Okay, I'm going to make a new 0. But on the second 0, I'm taking off sales. I want to rather bring in profit. So on one column, we have sales. On the other column, we have profit. We could also use a false dimension. If you've been there using someone's laptop, you know what it means right now for me. No. Yeah, I want to bring in a false dimension. Okay, let me not. I'll come back to that later. So for now, let me stay here. There is a trick Kevin Flerard recently gave how to change dimension names from up and down. Yeah, so I can share the link with you guys later. Okay, but let me show you up to this point. So if you look at this, the problem is it orders it based on what? Region. That's in an alphabetical order. But let's play a bit with this. So first I'm going to do is I'm going to create a parameter. Okay, what do we call it? Sort by. How come there is no smile on your faces? You know, I don't try without smiles. Eh? But Tableau is not that serious now, is it? It's not like you're doing C++ or C#. C# is even easier. Eh? Okay. Okay, so let's make it a string. And then let's give it a list of values. On the first list of values, we're going to call it sales. On the second list of values, we'll call it what? Profit. Are you still there with me? Did you still get up to that point? I'm sorry, what's the name, sir? Ifechi, you didn't get up to that point. Did I lose you? Okay, I'm gonna just take, I said we created a parameter. Yeah, and then we called it sort by. Then we called it a list. We made it a string because we want to put a list on it. Yeah. So we called one of the string set is sales, one of them is profit. Are we together? Now, thereafter, just okay it. So we have what? We have a parameter in there. Now let's do something else. We're gonna go here. Let's call it field sort by. So field, I'm just cooking up these names, and then we're gonna say case. When sort by, sorry, case should be sort by. That's the parameter. So when sales, what do you sort by again? When sales what? How do you use case? Am I using case properly now? Yeah, when then, yeah. So then, sales. You know what I'm doing? What I'm telling it is that whenever the person triggers the parameter value for what? Sum for sales, what he's actually asking you is for sum of sales. Now, let's go. Then when profit, then sum. Okay. That clear up to this point? Does it make sense? You can't see. How do I make this bigger? Okay, let me just walk you through it. You know, we created a parameter. It's called sort by. And then we have two values there. We had sales and we had profit. Remember? So I said when it's sales, then sum of sales. Case, the case statement. It's like an if then else. Yeah, but in this time it's like I think the best way to, because while do will not, might be more confusing if I use while do. Like an if then else. So you're saying if the thing that if it is sales, then some sales. If it is profit, then some profit. Okay? Yeah. I wish there's a way we could expand this really. Okay, no problem. We'll get plan better next time. Control and scroll. Okay, but I made it bigger. Oh, okay. But now, so let me see if we got that. So control and scroll. Should I scroll down or scroll up? Ouch. You're a gem, man. You found it now? Okay. All right, so you got this, Abby? Cool. Now, let's go. Now we have these and we have this. We can actually open this up. We can actually show parameter. Okay, we're going to come to region, and then say, should we try this one again? We try this stuff again if it will work for us. Okay, we're going to say sort. Nested. Good. So when we have nested, we're going to say descending, because one of the highest ones to be on top. Now the field we're sorting by becomes the field sort by, which was the field that we created to put, when you create a parameter, you have to create a calculated field to hold it. Yeah. So I'm going to put these in there, and then, so that's it now. Okay? Good. Where are we? We're on sales. Let me try this stuff again if it will work for us. So control, it's making us too wide. But I hope you can see, my screen. So this is sales. Now we are on sales. And if you notice on sales, we have 739, 691, 503. So that's a good sort already for sales. Now let's try it on profit. Once we move to profit, what goes up? West still stays up because that's the highest. The next thing is what? East, 94. The next thing is 46 and 39. When you move to, so what is first here? West, East, South, Central. So let's flip it to sales and see if we have a different experience. You notice Central has come up because it's bigger than. Does it make sense to you? Am I confusing you? Can you see my screen at all? Can we come to this? Come here. On text. Right. Let me see something. Control Shift as a way of widening. Do you want to just come around here? Let's do it together. Okay. Oh yeah. I hope those on the other side of the wall are seeing what we're doing though. Okay, let's increase the font of the text and make it a lot bolder. So let me just increase the size of the text. Should we make it 22? I would have done all I would have done there. That's true. I'm already here. Let's take this to 22. I think that's more legible. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't even think about it. Now look at this. Now we're on sales. We're on sales now, and if you look at the order, West is ahead. It follows a descent order on sales. Can you see that? But on this side, it doesn't follow. This is lower. You understand? If we flip this to profit, this becomes at the other side, and this becomes unordered. Does it make sense? A nested sort, yeah. This is the field sales. That's where we put it. Sales is here. Yeah, we put profit here. So sales is on O1. The other one is on here. That's the power of parameters. So what we did, remember what we did, we created parameters here. Let's just do one more time, since we have a better springtime now. We created parameters. We call these sales. What do we do? It's a string parameter. Sales, we just give it a name. Sales to sales, profit to profit. That's cool, Abi. Okay, why not? I'll just do one more time. You come here, create parameter. So if you create parameter here, basically you give it any name you like so that you don't forget it. You turn this to string. Once you turn this to string, we want to give it our own values, and it's a list of values. So what do? Turn it up, and then give it the values, sales to sales. Once we're good with whatever, okay, we can say D, S to S, D to D, D to D, whatever you want, So let's solid W to W, and then we just give it an okay. That parameter has been created, it saved itself there. You can't use parameters directly. So what do? Calculated field. How do I want to use this? I want one parameter at a time. However, I want it to be tied to something. How do we do it again? No. Yeah. So now I call a case statement. I throw in this parameter that we created, sort by, remember? Where sales and this thing were included. Now, we said when it is sales, whenever this parameter is set to sales, what I want you to do is to what? Set it to sum of sales. Whenever this is set to profit, set it to what? Sum of what? Profit. Does it make sense now? So this is the way we pulled those things inside the parameter to read the parameter. Now we say, you're good. We leave it at that. Now, because we've done that, we've come to this point. We need to sort it by something. Or we can't, if we sort it by only one thing, it's going to stay with that thing forever. You understand? So once we sort it, but make it an interactive sort. So what do? We come to sort. And then we go to, we change from, these are what we often really use. Data sort, order, alphabetical, field, manual. But this time around, we want to take nested. Means we want to put parameter in there. Discerning. Now, what did we bring in here? We brought the field of what? Field sort by, which is little field we created. So what you would have done, normally if you were to sort, normally this is what you use. Field, maybe you can say field, you can come here and say sort by, let's say you say sort by what? Profit, is profit here? You get what I'm saying? This is normally what you often use when you are sorting. But this time around, you want a dynamic system where I can sort by this, sort by this, sort by this, sort by this, at my own convenience, based on what I'm trying to represent. You understand? That's why we went to parameter. These are parameter. Does it make sense now? So now, we'll turn this to nested. Make this, wait, yeah, here. So now that becomes the field we're using now. And abbreviation, can leave it as custom, no problem. Now, with that, now we can play from here. Anytime we sort with profit, profit becomes the one that gives us the order. And anytime we come with what? Sales, this one gives us the order. Yes, it's the sort. Now, there is, if you're good with this, I'll just show you one last one and then we can go. Now, we can actually take this a step further. Like, is that a parameter? Is that a dashboard? So, this is a dashboard. But you see, maybe because we want to set a button now to control this. because maybe you don't want to use the whole drop down stuff. You can go ahead and set a button. So where did I get your Excel? Yeah. Okay. So let's call the button. Now, the thing here is you are safer when you put the button to the same names like your parameters. So sales or profit. So I'm going to create an Excel now. Oh, for those on the screen, I need to, okay. Stop share. So I'm going to reshare this on Excel. So we're creating an Excel, and we're going to call the Excel. So we'll call the Excel key, and we'll call it one of the parameters is this, one of them is this. Yeah, profit. And I'm going to save this Excel on the desktop. Obviously, when you save the Excel to, it's your call. You choose that. Desktop. So what do I call this? Okay, so I'd save this. Now I'm going to go back to Tableau. This is where we are, yeah. So I don't know. There's a way you share entire screen. This is okay, the screen, good. Okay, so everything I do now just goes naturally, Abby. Toby, can you see Gbolahan, are you still there? Aziz, can you see my screen the other way?
Yeah, you can see your screen.
All right, thank you. Then what was I trying to do? Okay, so I'm going to create another sheet like this. And this time around, I'm going to pull a data source, the Excel file that we saved somewhere. So you have the Excel here. I just pull it in. So you've got this in there. Okay, so that's the Excel now. So I'm going to use this to create sort of a button. You know, we called it key, remember? Yeah, so I'll just open it, turn this around into, let's say, a circle for now. Then I'll put the key here. Just, we're not trying to be fancy now. When we start our fancy class, we call Gbolahan. Let's come and help us. It's really good with fancy stuff. It's cool. Okay, so yeah, so I'll just leave it simple like this. Should I make it a bit bolder? 14, is that okay? So I just, okay, so this is pretty simple. So I'm just gonna make a simple dashboard and put 2 here. Trust me, it's not fancy, it's just space. No, I want to turn, instead of using these as my stuff, I want to turn these buttons to it. So basically what I'm going to do is that I'm going to call a dashboard action. And I'm going to add an action, change parameter. So I want to use sheet 2 to change which parameter. Remember, it's a sort by parameter we used it for. And the source field there is the key that was in sheet 2. So we're going to, okay, it's on select. Anytime you select, it changes it. So, okay, so let's see how this works. So right now we're on sales, but we can move it to, you see, it's changed to profit. Did you notice? So it's sorted. So this just pulls that control right around. In the Excel, you have conflict. So you have to now declare another calculated field to align them. Yeah. Yep. So this could help you in things in sorting, and it could as well help you in something as simple as I was trying to log on and show you something. It's still a dirty work. I think Tobi has seen it, though. He sees everything before it's goes on. It's a health data set for those of you who are in health. It's called HCP, which is Health Center Professional, Healthcare Professional, yeah. So it's just trying to show you. It's very health related, so you might not really find it fun, except you're a health person. So, so you see, this is pretty. You can sort by region, or you can sort by Salesforce deployment. So I'm sorting with these. I'm actually sorting. So I'm turning these field into Salesforce. You know, Salesforce has only 3 parameters, but this one has, the region has about 5 parameters. Any questions? Idris, can you still see our screen, or did we leave you guys?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
we can see
you. We can see your screen, yes.
Yeah.
Idris, are you speaking in baritone? Okay. All right. Any questions? You good? You can use here, we use dynamic zone visibility. So this is in month, this is in quarter, this is in week. So we just use dynamic zone visibility. That's a different ball game because that one is 2 different tables. Here we are using 1 table, but we're interchanging a field name. But when we are actually using like 3 different tables, then you can use dynamic zone too. So if you look, notice the way this relates and the way this relates are entirely different. Yeah. So you use dynamic zone for something like that. Yeah. Okay. So let me sign up here. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, sir.
I hope you guys can hear me. We have one more presentation before a quick break. I think we're not going to spend so much time on the break, just get to know a lady who has joined us finally. So this is not all gentlemen's affair. And Idris, after Idris' presentation, we can have lunch. And whilst we're having lunch, we'll jump into Dennis's presentation because we've gone over time by a whole lot. But yeah, Idris, are you ready? Let me stop sharing screen.
Yep, I'm ready.
Nice.
Yeah. Now, can you all hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah, okay. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Idris, and we'll be talking about doing down in maps using dynamic visibility, dynamic zone visibility. I think the last presenter just talked about dynamic zone visibility, and I'm going to show you on how to do that in Tableau. So, okay, Let me share my screen. So this is what we are looking forward to build. Okay. Since this is what we are looking forward to build, how to drill down into maybe like Nigeria now, we have the country name, we have the region, that is southwest, southeast, south, and in each region we have different states. So maybe you want to drill down from the region to states to cities in Nigeria. So rather than building 3 maps and put all those 3 maps onto your dashboard, you can use dynamic zone visibility to give it down, like something like this now. This is United States, and it's showing sales by region. And you want to know the states in West, you can just click on it. Yeah, this is it. Then maybe you want to know the cities in California, you can just click on it and it will give you the city. So that's what we're going to do. How to drill down. And we can do 2-level drill down, can do 3-level drill down, can do 4-level, can do 5-level, just depends on how deep you want to drill down. So now, let's start. So we'll be using the Superstore data sets. Tableau. So I have to bring in my data, which is the Superstore data set, Excel. I'll just have to navigate through this. Yeah. Yeah. So, and I want to use the others table. Let's drag in. So this is my data. I can just go to sheet 1. Yeah, here we are. So now we want to drill down from region to state to city. And as you can see here now, the region is not a geographical data type. So we have to change the region to the geographical data type because region is like a parent of states. So to do that, I just click on this drop down and go to change data type. Okay, click on this one, go to geographical row, and go to create from. Where do you want to create it from? From what? From the states. Yeah, as you can see now, this has changed to what? A map icon. So now, let's create the first one. That is the region by what? The region by states. Drag your region to this place. It's loading. What's going on? Oh. Oh. What's going on like this? Okay, yeah, we are back. So now this is our region. So you can change it to the field. This is not just a sample map. You can change it to field map. This is the map, like this. So now you can see different region. You can take the region to what? To label. So this is our region. So let's color it by sales so that you can see the region that has the highest sales. So now drag your sales to color. Yeah, so this is it. Now Let's change our sheet name. Region by what? By states, by sales, rather. So now we have to create another map for what? For the states. So now duplicate it and put your what? Put your states to details. That's it. And you have to remove your region from label and add your states to label. So that's it. This one is what? States by tables, right? So now it remains one, which is our city, right? So now let's duplicate the same sheet and let's put our city into the details. So this is it. So let's move this one from text, right? So now let's increase the circles based on their sales. So you can just drag your sales to size. And let's increase it. Let's increase it. Sales to size. Yeah, let's increase it. So you have some, so let's just like this. And let's change the order to black. Let's reduce the opacity. Yeah, something like this. So now we have city by sales. Right? So now we have the 3 map from here to here to here. So we want to do that from region to state and to what? To city. So now to start, first of all, we have to create 3 parameters. That is one for the region, one for the state, and one for the city. So now to create a parameter, you have to go to this drop-down menu and create this parameter. You have this dialog box. So now let's name it region parameter. Right? So now our it is string, and the current value, just change it, just empty it like this, and press OK. So now let's duplicate this one also, and let's use it as our state parameter. Duplicate and rename. State parameter. Right? So now let's duplicate again, and let's use it as our what? City parameter. Okay. City parameter. Yeah, now we are done with the 3 parameters: the region, the state, and the city. So now let's create a dashboard and let's bring in all these 3 maps. And so that you can see how it will work. Now these are dashboard. So let's bring in our region here. Let's bring in our state here. And let's bring in our city here. So now these are the 3 maps, and everything will look okay as we are doing it. So now let's show our parameters. So to show a parameter, just click on a sheet like this. You see all this drop-down menu, you see parameter, and it will list all the parameters that you have. So now click on them so that you can show it. It states and city. So now these are the 3 parameters. Now, if you notice, they are empty because when I was creating my parameter, I didn't put any value. So that is why we have what? Empty boxes. So now, after that, you have to create a parameter action. That is, the parameter action is just like, the parameter action is just like you are using a sheet or a chart to control your parameter, to populate your parameter. So that is, if I click on West, I want this region parameter to show West. If I click on any state here, I want this state parameter to populate here. If I click on any city here, I want this state parameter to show something. So that is what we call a parameter action. So I'm using this parameter to control. I'm using this worksheet to control this parameter. So now let's create a parameter action. To do that, click on this dashboard and go to actions. So now let's click our parameter action, add action, and click on change parameter. So the first one is region parameter, right? So what is our source sheet is our region by sales, right? And our target sheet, our target parameter is region parameter. Our source field is our region, this one. No. So now what you should know is that if you are creating the first one, you have to check this value, this one, set value to, not keep current value. Set values. That is, once you click a region, you set it to that region, not keep it. If I change it to west, you should change it from what I clicked before to that thing. So now press OK. And add another action, which is our state parameter. So, and I want my state sheet to contain the parameter and the state parameter and the state here, none, and make sure you take it to set value to. Now the third parameter action, which is the city parameter, right? So controlled by what? By city, and the target is the city. The field is what? Is the city. Then none, set value to. Here's OK, and let's OK. Let's check if what we just did is working. So now let's click on a region. You see, we have west. If you click on central, we have central. So now let's check the states more. If you click on the states, we have Texas. This one is off. If you click on this one, we have another states. California, we have the states. So let's check the city one also. Click on the city. Yeah, we have this. We have this. We have this. Now, our parameter is working. The next thing we are going to do now is, we want to create a field, because if you want to use the dynamic visibility, what's your field that you're going to be using should be a Boolean value. What I mean by Boolean value is true or false. So to use a dynamic visibility, you have to have a true or false. So now to do that, let's create a clear calculations that will control this one, and this one. So now let's go to our worksheet level and let's create a calculation. So yeah, create a calculation and name it what? Region. Okay, let's make it what? Dynamic zone visibility, so that you can know that okay, this calculation is for the dynamic zone visibility for region, right? So now there's one thing you should note here. Know that if we click on city, it should show region. If we click on region, it should show state. If you click on state, it should show what? City. That is the arrangement. And that is how we're going to write this calculation now. So now, our region parameter equals to blank. Yeah. And state parameter equals to blank. And city parameter, because once you click on city, you want it to show region, is not equal to blank. That's it. That's for this one is you work for this one, right? So now let's duplicate this and let's change it. This one will be what? For the state, right? This one should be for the what? For the states. This one will be for what? For the states. Right? And you want, when you click on region, you should show what? States. So you have to change this one to not equals to and remove this one here. This is it. And remove this one here. Now, there's okay. The next thing is what? What is it called? Our state parameter, our city parameter rather. Duplicate this one and Let's edit it. So you want to show city when you click on what? State, right? City parameter. So now, so that what we're going to do is we have to move the not equals to here and put it here. Just like swapping all those things. So now let's press OK. Now let's activate our dynamic visibility. So go to your dashboard, click on the first one. This is the first sheet. Click on layout here. You see something like control visibility using values. Press check the box. Click on this one. You see, these are our three words, our three calculations. Because they are what? They are true or false. We are not seeing all any field except those three calculations. So now this one should be what? Region, right? You see, it has disappeared. This one should be what? States. And this one should be what? City. Yeah. So now there is a what's it called? There is a act here, which is that you have to populate the city by yourself. So let's use Atlanta. Press OK. You have this. Let's press this one. Stick blank. So let's make this again. So that's how it works. Oh. So okay. Okay. Now this is it. Yeah. So now, but it's not, this thing is not showing as I want it to be. I want it to be, what's it called, to take over the entire space, right? Which is not, okay, for me. Let's type one here. So, this is populated twice. You have to walk around it like this till it works. Yeah, 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 yeah. So now let's make sure this thing is showing. Okay, let's make sure this thing is showing very well. So this is how it works. You just have to make sure you have to set it till it works. No. So why is this thing not taking the entire view? Let's check. Oh, fuck. Sorry, my Tableau crashed right now. Hello, can you hear me?
Very well.
Yeah, my Tableau just crashed.
I hear you, Idris.
Yeah. Hello?
Can you hear me? We can hear you.
Yeah. So my Tableau just crashed. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Let's open it again. No, not this. Tableau just crashed. Everything, not this one.
Yeah.
So this happens sometimes.
Yeah, we see how that.
So that is why if you are working on a big project, you have to make sure you are saving your work. But Tableau will save it for you, definitely. But it's better to be saving it by yourself. So I've already studied that this. Actually this, and then make another one. You know this. I'm working on a new one.
Idris, were you able to recover your workbook or?
No. So I'll just have to do it very, very quick now. So I'll just have to very fast right now. I'm able to recover. I don't know why Tableau didn't say that. Okay, let's quickly do that. So this is just an opportunity to learn it again. What's going on with Tableau this level? Let's respond there. It will still work. Yeah. So read map.
Idris, are you okay?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Hello.
Yeah. Can you hear me? I was thinking in the interest of time, maybe you want to focus on 2 layers to begin with. And I just want to check with Professor Kao as well, if he's okay with another 15 minutes.
Okay. Let me just.
Another 15 minutes delay. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. Please don't crash again, please. I'm just fixing what I did earlier. One time. Yeah. So now let's go to our dashboard. Bring this here, bring this here, bring this here. And let's show our parameter. 60. You can. That's great. So let's activate our parameter action. Parameter. By region, target field, target, region, set value to what? To this one. Let's add another one. Fix. Parameter. Which control by the states. This. And set a value to this. So the third one. Fixing parameter. Control by city. And this is city. This is city. And set the value to this. Let's check. Okay. It's working. It's good. Okay. So now let's create our calculated field for dynamic visibility. This ZB origin. So that is region parameter equals to blank, and state parameter equals to blank, and cookie parameter not equals to blank. That's it. So now let's duplicate this. Let's duplicate this. Duplicate and edit it again. This one should be what? States. And when you click on region, it shows the states. Yeah, this one. Remove this from here. So now this is the third one. Duplicate, edit. Which one should be quickly? And the city should be populated when the state is not refreshed to blank, right? So that is it. So now let's show our dashboard. Yeah. So layout this, region, this one this, states, and this one this, city. So now let's which one here? Atlanta. Yeah. So press OK. And let's move this here. Okay. So now we are back to this. So the problem we're facing now is the thing is not showing the entire thing. So I'm trying to configure my thing. It's showing, so you must make sure you have one. Okay. So let me go back to this worksheet. I don't know why it's not showing one. It's put all this on here. It's supposed to. Can't configure this.
Idris, I'm just checking. Do the three visuals need to be in the same container?
Yeah, there's the same container. So yeah, there's the same container. And just remove this. Again, let me remove this one. Container. Should remove this. Of this pipe. Okay, 7. They are the same container. I don't know why it's not working. Yeah. Seriously, I don't know. So maybe what I will do is I'll just show you what I've done, because these are question times. So let me just open the one that I did, which works very well. So I can just check whatever is happening here because of our time. Okay. Yeah. Let me do that. It's still loading. I don't know what's wrong with Tableau this morning. I don't know what's going on.
In the containers, yeah, like a short recording, right? But he wants to review what he has done before.
Yeah, this is what I've done. Yeah, so this is what I've done, and it works well. Okay. So now, and if you check the layout, this is it. We have the same thing there. So now, after you have done the dynamic visibility, you have to create another three parameter that will filter your workbook. So you have to create two filter, which is the region filter. Let me open it and let me show you. This is the same thing, right? And you have to create another filter, which is this, which is the same thing. So after that, you have to create another parameter action, and this is how it works. These are you're going to create the dashboard and the action. So this is the filter now, right? So now the same thing, but you know that when I was creating the first three, I choose this value, which is set value 2. But this time around, we choose what? Keep current value. So, and for the second one, also, which is states, same thing. Yeah, the reason why we're having two filters is just like we are not filtering the region. We are filtering the states and the what and the city, right? So let me show you. After that, you have to create another two calculated fields, which we are going to put here. And this is the calculated field now for the region. Region equals to region filter. And for the states equals to state filter. So now, and then you have to go to your region field. You see that nothing is here because we are not filtering this one. We're not filtering the region. We are filtering states and what? And city. So now, if you go to the states now, I put my region filter here and set it to 2. Because which means that if you click a region here, you should take that region what? That region state. That's why I set it to 2. And for this city map, I use what? The region and the state, because city is depending on what? On two things, which is region and state. So that's why to go, okay, if you choose south and the state in south, you should filter that city to that 2 things, because city is depending on that 2 things. So that's why we have to go to here. And so that's why if you click on this one, we have the states in that region. If you click on this one, we have the city for that state. So that's just it. So the thing just like I just don't know what is happening to Tableau this morning. We used to have something like that, so it's normal. So that is just it. And I will send this workbook so that you can just go through it. Maybe you want to do the same thing, and just check it out and do the same thing. So that's just it. Thank you. Any questions?
Hi, Idris. Hi, Idris. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think most of us lost out at some point. I don't know if you would mind, we wouldn't mind, just to record something and share with us so we can share with everyone.
Okay, no problem. Maybe I can just do a short video.
Honestly, we would appreciate it.
Or no problem. Someone has done it before, Andrew Kubel. So maybe I can just share the tutorial to his video, then you can just take it up. Rather than me doing the same thing.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
I can just send the video. Maybe I can just do that right now.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Idris.
Yeah.
That was a lot to unpack, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was a lot to unpack. And I think the numerous ways in which you can use dynamic zone visibility. It's just evidence, right?
Yeah, it's unlimited. Once you master it, you have done a lot of like just master it. Once you do that.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody has specific question on DZV, on state level maps, drill through maps rather. No? It's too much? Or you're gonna wait for that link?
So I have sent the link, so maybe
okay. Yeah. Okay, awesome.
But, I have it but note, Andrew did 4 levels to get down. He did region to state to county to city. So I was doing 3 levels to get down. So you can just check it out. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Idris.
Yeah.
I think we're also on time now to actually get into Professor Dennis's presentation. We're starting 30 minutes delayed, but I'm pretty sure we're going to have a fantastic time in our final presentation. So without taking too much of your time, I'm wondering is it like, who is seeing this? Is it just us? Right. Okay, I think once he shares the screen. Hi, Professor Dennis, are you there? Can you hear me?
I am.
Awesome. I think Idris is still sharing his screen. Idris, are you there?
Yes, it's there. He came into my room. It's going back to the remote. Stop sharing. Sorry. That's what you get when we live in the same house.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, you can take it away. And I think you can share your screen as well. Yeah.
Really? I was looking forward to sandwiches and tea, though. No.
You were looking forward to sandwich and tea, like.
No. Okay. All right. Hello, everybody. Let me share my screen really quick. All right. Hope y'all can see that. So I do have kind of a slide deck. This was this is an I adapted it from a presentation I did recently at the Tableau conference. So I was able to prepare a slide deck for you, and I'll share this with everybody. So anyways, hello, everybody. It's great seeing you all. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's actually a pleasure to be part of this panel and to get to meet everybody. Just a little bit about myself. I am a social work professor. I've done GIS mapping for about 12 years. I just started using Tableau in November 2020, so I consider myself still a bit of a newbie when it comes to certain things. I am a Tableau public ambassador. I was born and raised in California, husband and father of 2 kids, and now I work at Carleton University, which is based in Ottawa. So I've been up since about 4:30. So I apologize if I start to doze off during my presentation. So I usually like to kind of just talk about why even use maps. I do a lot of mapping. I love to look at maps. I think maps are a great tool to communicate messages and to tell stories but I guess there are a number of reasons why somebody might use a map. I think they are really great communication tools. They are visual, they're a picture, and so I think they tend to draw people's eyes as well and attract attention. And So if you have a map on a dashboard, for example, I think generally, at least, some of the research has suggested that the person will be drawn to kind of the pictures on your dashboard. And so map being a picture, will probably attract somebody's eye in a dashboard. So I guess that is, a message to us that we need to make maps that are effective and clear and readable as well. But I guess the question is, just because you have spatial data, do you always need a map? And I don't think that's necessarily the case. A map is a great tool to communicate messages, but sometimes a bar graph or even small multiples could be a great vehicle to communicate a message message or story. And so you don't really always need a map. And for example, I have quick example here, where I created a visualization. It was 87 countries, and so across the globe, and it looked at the issue of school-age digital connectivity using UNICEF data. And I decided to use small multiples because when I first mapped this, it just didn't look good because I had only data for 87 countries. And so I decided to go use small multiples instead. And so this is just an example of where I could have mapped it because I had geographic data, but I decided to go small multiples because I thought it would be a more effective tool to communicate the message or the story. And I'm going to be using kind of my own kind of work. Not to say that it's, necessarily all great work, but I like to use my work because I'm able to kind of think about, tell you a little bit about how my thought process was. And so, but there's a lot of great work out there. And so I get inspired every day by the maps that people create. So I have, so the title of this was 10 Tableau tips, but I changed it to some because I couldn't quite get to 10. So I have 8. But embedded in it, I think there's a couple of, some of them have multiple tips within each tip. So I might have somewhere around 10. So a couple of guiding principles. So if you decide to put a map in your dashboard, I think the most important thing is to be intentional. What is the purpose of the map? Who the audience is, and things like that. And when you do put a map in your dashboard, have empathy for your reader. Make it big enough so that they can read it or use it. If you intend the map to be a navigational tool where you want the user to click on different countries or different states within a country, make the map big enough so they can read it and be able to click on it or navigate it. If you have tooltips, make sure it's big enough. They're big enough so they can hover over certain geographic units. My own practice and my own process, I tend to, Tableau is great because all of the interactivity that you can include into a dashboard or into a chart or into a map in this case. But I tend to start off thinking that I'm going to create a static map. So something that could be printed or something that somebody might cut and paste into a report. Because I want to make sure that at least as a static map, that map is clear and has the story and message is clear. And then I think about the interactivity. What can I do and if the user is able to look at it online or something like that? And then the other guiding principle is to kind of think like a cartographer. I'm not a cartographer. I've done GIS mapping for over a decade, but I don't really consider myself a cartographer because it's really about that's really focused on the art and science of map making. I like to think I'm a wannabe cartographer. I've never studied it, but I think the idea here is if you're going to put a map in your dashboard or in your infographic, be intentional. Think through kind of every detail of the map, just like a cartographer would. For a cartographer, the map is kind of the central, it starts with the map, right? And so, think about if you're going to include a map, really think through what the purpose is, who the audience is, think through, and there's a lot of details in the map that and decisions that you're going to make or not make, just because it's default choices, it's made by default by Tableau. There are a lot of kind of decisions that are made that will create a map in a certain way and communicate certain stories. And so to kind of just be thoughtful about that. And I think that's the idea behind thinking like a cartographer. So the first step is really trying to keep it simple. My rule of thumb usually is if you have one map, it's one map, one story. And so if you're trying to communicate too much in a single map, maybe you need two maps. So if you have 2 or 3 messages, maybe you need 2 or 3 maps to kind of communicate that story. It's not to say that a single map can't carry several stories, especially as the user digs into the map using interactivity or using the drill down that Idris just kind of demonstrated, right? I think the interactivity allows the user to really explore, but if you're thinking about a static map, usually a static map has just one message. And so that's kind of my rule of thumb. So if I'm creating a map, I'm thinking, okay, it's going to have one message. What is that message? I want to make it clear. And if there's multiple messages, maybe I need multiple maps. And just one example of that is I created this. I participate in a lot of community projects. This one is the Viz for Social Good. The community group that they were working with is called Video Volunteers, and they're based in India, and they empower folks to create community stories through video and other technology. And so this is just a simple map of one of the states in India. And what I really wanted to do is just create a map to show where all the projects were across the different districts within this state. And so I just tried to keep it as simple as possible, and use kind of really basic colors and limited the colors and things like that. But the idea was really to just show where all the projects were and where there were a lot of projects and where there were fewer projects. And this was a way for me to do that. And I tried to kind of keep it simple like that. Step 2 is to never accept defaults. In some way, Tableau makes it's really easy to create a map in Tableau. And in some ways it may be too easy. It's so easy to create a map that sometimes we forget that there's a lot of things that we need to kind of think about as well. And so I'm just going to kind of walk through a couple of examples. And so I have a worksheet in here that will be as part of the slide deck. Toby had distributed some data, and so I'm just basically using that data, data on Nigeria, the states of Nigeria. So when you plop a shapefile into Tableau and drag the geometry dimension over into the view, it automatically creates a map, right? And you'll see that there's the map box background and things like that. But I would encourage you to really kind of take a look at this and just really not accept any of these defaults and really think through. And even if you end up accepting some of these defaults, kind of think through why and the reasons why behind that. And so, for example, Tableau has its colors, default colors, and I might want to change those to something else. Mapbox is a great kind of tool, but I will also kind of encourage you to consider, do you really need everything here? So for example, do I need all the names of all the different states and cities? Do I need, so right now I'm not zoomed in enough to see streets and highways and things like that, but the question is, do I need those? Do I need the base? Just kind of really think through all those kind of features. Or do I need to create a custom map box layer, right? That really focuses on, the theme, the colors that I want and things like that. Like GB already mentioned that, there's a lot of kind of maps that are already included in Tableau, which some of them are good, some of them are useful. But I, for example, tend to start from scratch. So I actually don't have Mapbox already in there. And there are times when I do use Mapbox because I want to have that broader context. And I don't have data for that, but kind of think through some of that. Another kind of default is like this map options, right? Like to zoom in and things like that. I guess I would encourage you to think about, do I really need that? The search tool is another something that I often get rid of and don't show because the problem is it allows the user to still search for everything, and it'll go to anywhere in the globe, but it can go anywhere in the globe, but those places may have nothing to do with your map, right? And so you can lock it, of course, but if you don't need that search tool, then get rid of it. And so you can right click and select on map options here, and then I usually just get rid of all of them. And I do that here as well as on the dashboard, because when you do, you also need to do it in the dashboard too. Once you have the map in the dashboard. Okay. I think if there's anything else here. Okay. All right. Next tip is to think about centering your maps. And what that means is, because the reader will be drawn to the map, the position of the map, the size of the map are important, right? As part of your overall dashboard. And so if the reader is going to be drawn to that map, you want to center it or position in a place that then leads them to kind of look at all the other stuff. And so, for example, this was a map, again, for Viz for Social Good. The group is called Nepal, Build Up Nepal. They support largely rural families and individuals to build homes using local materials and things like that. And so this was my kind of, in terms of my process, I really wanted to center the map and make it central. And so the idea was, because Nepal is kind of horizontally aligned, I wanted to make a horizontal dashboard, and using some of this open space here to kind of, so positioning the country in the middle, and then kind of using the open space around the country to put in all the other information. And this was just my way to really center the map, because I wanted the map to be central. So a couple of tips on that. So Nigeria, the way it's shaped is really nice because it's almost fits within the square really nicely. But when you're in the dashboard, right, like depending on how big your square is on the dashboard, it might fit better or not as well. And so you want to kind of make sure that the container that you have is nicely proportioned in terms of the aspect, right? And hopefully the geography that you're working with fills that space as well as possible. But one way that I usually go about making sure that I'm maximizing that space is I might decrease the size, and then use this select tool right here. The zoom area is select the area as a square as closely as possible to the border, like so. And then now you'll notice, as opposed to if I just clicked on the home, you'll notice that there's a slight difference. For Nigeria, it's not that big of a problem because it's nice. It kind of fits nicely in the square already. But you'll notice that when I did did it manually, I think it fits better. And then once I do that, I'll lock it by getting rid of all the map options, right? And then once I do that, now you can't move it with your cursor. I'm trying to shift it so it's locked into place. And then now when you play with it, whatever size, I mean, as long as it stays, you know, kind of relatively close to the original size in terms of aspect, you'll notice that it really, the geography kind of shifts nicely and fills that space. Okay. All right. Any questions up to this point? Hopefully this is helpful. I mean, in terms of tips for, you know, I don't, and just one caveat, I don't do dashboards in my work. I use maps, you know, to do research around health equity issues and things like that. And I'm not necessarily creating dashboards in the sense of, you know, with KPIs and things like that, but I'm hoping some of these tips are helpful.
Yes, sure.
So the tip number 4 is to maximize white space. And so in data visualization, right, we're trying to kind of include more white space, right? And when we're dealing with kind of spatial geography, it's a slightly different issue. And so I'm going to use an example of Ontario, where the province where I'm based, just as an example, because it's just a weird geography shape. So there's the map of Canada. And let me just select Ontario. Okay, and so this is Ontario, right? And so you'll notice, and on Ottawa is somewhere around here. You'll notice that it's because it's so weirdly shaped, there's a ton of white space right here, and there's a ton of white space right here, right? And so what I mean by white space in this context is it's a lot of wasted space, right? Depending on kind of where you fit this map in your dashboard. So for example, I created this quick little template. Again, I don't create dashboards, but I've seen enough to know kind of what some of the elements are. But you'll notice when I do a map of Ontario, it to me, it doesn't look great because there's just so much white space here. And so how do we maximize that space? And so I know some people don't like floating, kind of using floating tiles. But one example that I did here, so this was another Viz for Social Good project, countries in Central America as well as South America. And you'll notice like the map is kind of this weird shape here. And so I use just kind of floating containers to really, this was a kind of a challenging one because of the weird shape, but I really wanted to maximize this white space here as well as here. And I ended up doing a good job here, but trying to maximize the white space so that it doesn't look so empty. Floating, oh, wait, sorry, I went backwards. So using kind of the floating container method might be an option, but I think, you know, sometimes some people frown upon that, right? And I think they have a valid point, especially when you're doing dashboards. So another option might be to use annotations, right? So in Tableau, you can create an annotation for a mark, a point, or area. So in this case, I'll create one for an area. And so one option, and I can't spell annotation for some reason. So one idea might be to use an annotation here. Whoops. I can't select it. Sorry. Give me a second. Let me do this area here specifically. So one idea would be to use an annotation instead, right? Where you can fill that space here and you can fill that space here, right? The open space might also be a place where you can put your labels as well, right? So if you have a number of different things and you want to include some labels, that's another area. The white space might be another place to put your labels as well. Okay. I think one thing, obviously, that I think you want to do for your charts as well as for maps, and this is no different, is to really use there's a number of techniques to really make your story pop, right? And one strategy is to keep it as simple as possible, right? You have your map, you have your story, and then you get rid of everything else that you really don't need, right? And so, I mean, there's a number of different strategies that you can apply. And so in this case, here's the map of Nigeria. I included the, I think this is federally allocated funds. Is that right, Toby? So we can include it as a color, right? And there's a number of different things we can go about doing this, right? And clearly there's a story, right? There's the amount of federally funded money is clearly steered towards the southern part of Nigeria here. And I apologize, I generally don't like to map places I'm not familiar with. And so most of my work is mapping places where I actually live or have lived or I'm doing research in. And so I'm unfamiliar with Nigerian geography, and so I apologize. And I don't normally, map places I'm not familiar with. But I think this does tell the story, but maybe there's a different color palette, different color palette that we can use to really kind of enhance that story a little bit more. Maybe we can tone down some of these, but there's might be some stories here as well that we're not quite getting at, right? Because there's kind of the color kind of blurs, and the eye is not really beyond like 5 colors or 5 shades. The human eye really has a hard time deciphering differences, and so it becomes very difficult. But if you're interested in the story here, there might be some different things that you can do. So one of the things that, I don't know if I'm a big fan of choropleth maps using color in a map, because sometimes what happens is, let's say this Niger, the state of Niger here, because it's larger geographically than the other states, if that color was really bright, it would tend to stand out more, just because it's larger also, right? And so one option is to also maybe use what we call graduated circles. And so what you can do is add another layer, make this a circle instead, that's disaggregated by state. So you see these circles now here. But I'm going to try to contrast this as much as I can. Okay. And then I'm going to make the circles, the size of the circle, based on the same measure, which is the federally allocated monies. And then, so you have just a bunch of circles. Now the circles, I think in my view, these shapes are maybe a better tool, because the size, it's based on the same baseline, right? It has nothing to do with the size of the actual geography. And so sometimes it's a helpful tool to do that. And I might change the color to a really bright one. And one kind of strategy is kind of using visual contrast, right? To really show, to make your story pop, whatever your story is, make it really visually clear, and then everything else is provided by context. So in this case, the circles are my story, and then the map of Nigeria in the background is really just for context, right? Just to show the reader where where the circles are, are geographically. So that's just an example of something that I might kind of think about, like just a thought process, right? And obviously there's a number of different things you can do to try to make your story pop. Okay. Let me move on. And I just showed you an example where I used kind of multiple map layers. And so this was a great kind of feature that Tableau introduced, I don't know, just really like 2 years ago, maybe, map layers. And so tip number 6 is really take advantage of these map layers. They're free, right? Like you can add as many map layers as you want. And so in this example, what I did was, and even multiple map layers of the same data, right? So for example, here, so this is kind of what I did. Oh, wait, is it showing? No, I didn't have an example here. That example is actually right here. So this was an example of, this was a Makeover Monday project. No, actually, no, it wasn't. It was a map prompt Monday. And so the idea was to create some sort of heat map. And so I found data on all the condom distribution sites in New York City. And what I really wanted to do, just make it pop as much as I could. And so when I was thinking condoms, I was thinking automatically, for some reason, I went to neon lights for some reason. And so I wanted to kind of create that neon light effect. And so what I did was I used multiple layers. So I had location data for all these sites. And so I used multiple layers of that location on top of each other and symbolize them in different ways in order to kind of create this neon effect like that, and to really make the locations of all these sites pop. And so in 6A, I started kind of doing that kind of thing where you'll notice I have 3 layers of the same data, which are major cities in Nigeria. And the first one, the color is white. I made it a little small, so that's the white dot here. The second one is the larger yellow circle, and then the medium yellow circle, and then the last one is the larger yellow circle with slightly varying opacity kind of settings and things like that. And this was kind of the beginnings of how I was thinking about creating that neon effect, right? But this is really more an example where you can layer different map layers on top of each other, and it's based on the same data. You're not adding new data, right? So if data, the amount of data in a workbook is an issue, you're not really adding new data. You're using the same data, but just adding multiple layers on top of each other. And so the idea is you can really take advantage of that. And one area where I think you can really maximize that is with labels. So in the cartography world, in the map making world, people spend an enormous amount of time on labels, the placement of labels, the look or the font of the labels, the size of the labels, whether to include labels or not. There's an enormous amount of time. I think I spend 50% of my time when I create maps just on labels. And I'm sort of a I'm a perfectionist in that sense, where I'm really I really want to know, really want my labels to look exactly the way and be placed exactly the way I want, right? And Tableau, it's a little tricky on how to do that. Tableau wasn't necessarily created to do GIS mapping, but you can do a lot of great mapping with it. And so there are a couple options when it comes to labels. And so this is just an example of where I was just mapping using a number of different options that are available to Tableau to label the city, right? And so, obviously there's position, right? There's different positions that you can place them on top, bottom, and then at the corners or at the sides. You can use different fonts. You can do different, you can use bold, you can do italics, you can put them in the center. And so there are a number of kind of options. And so then what you can do is really differentiate kind of the different geographies. And so you might want different style labels, excuse me, for your cities versus your states, right? And so you really want to kind of differentiate that, and the type of label that you use could be one way to do that. Another option is if you use annotations, and there's, you know, different things that you can do with annotations. One of the cool things is, and I don't know why you can't do this anywhere else, you can actually do rounded boxes, right, with annotations, right, which kind of could look nice, right? And you have that line that points to places, and this is helpful when you have kind of geographies that are clustered really close together, and where you might need some lines in order to really get at some of those labels. Right? And so those are some examples. The one place where I think Tableau is really lacking, and I would love if we would be able to do this, is to be able to label rivers and have the labels follow the flow of rivers. You can do that in GIS software, but you can't do that right now in Tableau. And so, you know, there's obviously some limitations of what you can do. And I think there's some people who have used text and just kind of inserted text into maps in order to label certain things for rivers, or to have text that, you know, kind of curve a little bit and things like that. We don't have that ability to do that in Tableau now, but I think there's still a lot of options to kind of play with in terms of labeling that we can do in Tableau. Oh, one more thing I'll say about this is, you know, you'll notice I used a bunch of different. So each of these labels is represented by a label by one layer, right? And so if you're creating a map, for example, and you just click on labels, right? All the labels will be positioned exactly the same way, right? So for example, I'll do this really quick. All right, so let's go cities. So for example, let's make these circles. So for example, because I only have one layer of cities, right? And this one I don't have a name, so let me take this out. Sorry. So because I have one layer of cities and then I labeled them, right? They are all in the same position with each other, right? So right now, middle right, if I move it to the left, they all move at the same time. If I go center, right? And so one option sometimes that I do is, especially when there's like a cluster right here, I might create layers for specific cities in order to create labels that go a different direction, right? So for example, I'm just going to keep this simple. Let's say for Abuja, I want this label to go over here, but I want everything else to stay the same, right? So what I might do is create a calculation. This is for Abuja label. I might say if name, so the name of the city equals Abuja, then geometry. Okay, and so what this is saying is that if the name is Abuja, this is the geometry for that. So the lat and longitude coordinates, right? So if I push OK, and then now if I move this over, make this a circle, put name on there as well. And then I'm going to make this just to differentiate. right? And then I will. Right. So I'm hoping that you see that here. I'll make that red so you can really see it. So I wanted to differentiate Abuja, right, from all the other in terms of the label, right? And so now this label is lower, down in the middle. And so once I do that, I know that I don't no longer need this label. And so I might just create another geometry label without Abuja. So if name is not equal to
I don't think we can see the.
Oh, you can't see the calculation? Oh,
no.
Okay. Sorry about that. Let me see. Let me change the setting. Sorry about that. Are people following along though?
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. Is this helpful? That's the most important thing. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. Okay. So here, let me show you the Abuja, the first calculation. So this is the first calculation. Can you see that now?
Yes.
Okay. So all I said was, so if the name of the state or city was Abuja, then I want to create a measure that has that geometry. Okay. So it's going to be null for all the other cities, right? But just for Abuja, I'm going to have the lat and longitude coordinates, right? And so then all I do is add that to the map, add the name. I'll make this a circle, and then I'll make this bigger so you can see it, like so. Okay, right. And so now I have two labels, but the main thing is now I have this separate, distinct label just for Abuja, right? And there might be, you obviously can include other cities as well, right? Like if there are a group of cities, you can also, set up a group or things like that. If there are a group of cities where you want the labels to all look the same, right? You can create a layer measure just for the labels, right? And that's kind of a strategy that I often do. Okay. And then, but then we're kind of stuck with this label, right? And so I might have another, let me duplicate this. I might have another layer where this is I'll just say, for the sake of time, I'll just say non-Abuja labels, right? And so for all the cities that are not named Abuja, these are all the geometry measures, okay? And then I will hide that one and then end up showing this one instead. And there. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So it's a way for me to differentiate. So using labels. So obviously there's ways that we can use the symbols. Like we can create different symbols. I can make this a star, given that it's the capital or things like that, right? So symbols are one way to do that. But we can also use labels to differentiate things and draw the eye of the reader to certain things in our map. And that's often a good strategy. I think it's a good strategy to do. But the key thing is I was using the map layers to do that. And so that's how I created this visual, because I have a multiple layers. So this refers to the upper left, which is this one here. And how I created this was I actually created just another copy of the name. And then I changed the alias. And all I did was added a space in the as an alias, like that. And then that's how I created that, right? And so, but obviously you don't want to do this if you have a number of different points. You don't want to do this for each point. But if you have a grouping, and if you kind of take a look at it, there's, you know, there might be certain ones that you want to go to the left. There might be a group of them that you might want to go to the right, and then, or etc. And you just you create these layers just for those groupings of cities in this case. Right. Okay. So last tip is to kind of pay attention to some of the small details. And so I think labels is one of those details that I don't think people pay enough attention to. And so labels kind of I think maybe it's some of the color contrast and things like that. But what I'm talking about here is just little things that sometimes makes the map a map, and kind of adds just puts it over the top in my mind, right? So for example, so this is a map again of Nigeria and the states broken out. So I added another shapefile that I created in QGIS just to allow me to thicken the border, right? Like sometimes like we can, like Tableau doesn't really allow us to do this right now with with maps, but it's kind of a cool thing. Like I think just making the border around the country thicker than the state borders, I think that just makes a big difference in terms of the look of the map. And how I did this was I used the same shapefile that Tobi provided in QGIS, which is a free GIS software for those who aren't familiar with it. I transformed that what is a polygon, I changed it into just basically a line. So the shapefile is now, if you can see that, is basically a shapefile. It's a line shapefile as opposed to a polygon shapefile, right? And so when I bring that into Tableau, what that allows me now to do is to treat that as a line. And so I can thicken it. And I think just adding just a little thickness to the border of Nigeria, I think makes it just puts that map, brings that map up a level or two. Okay. Another example, and I did this with QGIS too. Unfortunately, some of these things you have to, I haven't figured out a way to do this in Tableau specifically. But another thing is you can add what I did here is I added a drop shadow, right? And this just, obviously this is less about kind of analytics, and this is more about aesthetics. But I think for certain purposes, like maybe an infographic, marketing material, things like that, something like this could really just add a little bit more to a map. And so, but there's a way to do this as well in Tableau, is where you actually have two containers, the same duplicate, one container which is the states of Nigeria, and then the other container would be where the all let me do that really quickly. So one container could be a map like this, and the other container could be a map that looks like this below that, and then you can just kind of slightly position them so that the one that's black is just slightly askew of the other to kind of create that shadow effect. And I think some people have done that. You can see examples of that in Tableau Public as well. But I think little things like this are really kind of just add a little bit of oomph to the map in my mind. So anyways, just a couple last thoughts. I think if you take a look at my Tableau Public, and I encourage you to kind of take a look, especially at my earlier stuff, I think just practice is so key, and then seeking feedback. And I think, you know, where I'm at now compared to where I was 3 years ago, you know, I feel like I'm such a better map maker now, especially, and you can see that in my research as well. And, you know, and then part of it is, you know, you see just amazing maps almost every day, every week, put out by a number of different people out there. And this month is especially exciting because it's the 30-day map challenge. So if you either go to LinkedIn, Tableau, Twitter, or any of those other social media, and you just you search for the hashtag 30-day map challenge, you're going to see a number of different maps out there that are just beautiful and inspiring, and hopefully that will kind of help inform your work as well, because it has for mine. But I think that is it. I am done. Thank you so much, everybody, and thank you for hanging in there.
Thank you so much. That was really inspiring. I think I learned a number of points I could use to improve my maps, right? As did many of us here. I don't know if anyone has any questions for Lenny. QGIS is an external software, it's open source, similar to Mapbox, yeah. Yeah, like you can download resources, assets created in QGIS and bring it into Tableau, yeah. Shapefile, you know, .shp, maybe .geojson, right? Residents.
Oh yeah. So QGIS is totally free. It's also open source. So which is cool because developers actually develop different plugins for it as well. And I was trained in ArcGIS, which is an Esri product, but it's really expensive. And so once I finished school, it just became too expensive for me to continue using it. So I decided to use QGIS, and it's pretty similar for those who are familiar with ArcGIS or the Esri products. But it's totally free, which is great. And it's also helpful if you use a Mac, for example. ArcGIS is not available for Macs, so that's another kind of reason why you might want to use QGIS. But so QGIS is designed to work with spatial data. So if you're interested in map making and you work with spatial data, I think GIS software is kind of a must. In terms of my own journey, I've been doing GIS mapping for about 12 years, like I said. Once I learned Tableau 3 years ago, what I do now in terms of my workflow is I might like work with the data, prepare the data in QGIS because it's so much easier there, because it's designed to work with spatial data. But then once I have the files ready, I'll bring them into Tableau because the visualizing is it's so great in Tableau to be able to visualize it, as well as to add other visualizations like charts and things like that. I think Tableau is unparalleled when it comes to that type of stuff. You can do that in other places. You can do that in QGIS, but to be able to add the interactivity, the charts, and then at the same time visualizing the maps, I don't think there's a tool like that in out there like Tableau.
So that's a shape map file. We're going to connect to it now. Those that want to engage in the competition, I think very, very short time, but it's the same thing. Yeah, train is closed, right? Yeah. So once you bring that in as a spatial file, it will automatically, like the polygons will be geometry type. Yes. Yes. Any other questions? We're good? Super. Okay,
Sorry,
so
I have a question. Sorry, for Dennis.
GB. Yeah, go ahead.
So I wanted to ask like how like what is like the learning curve for like getting to know QGIS, and like if there are resources or things that you would sort of recommend, like to be able to move from at least not knowing anything to being able to build things to use in your Tableau views. So like what is like the learning curve, and also like if there are things that you could recommend that could make it like easy.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good question. So a couple of initial thoughts. I would say download it and start playing with it, right? Because I think that will be, you'll find that is, in terms of, at least for spatial data, if you're familiar with, so I think part of the learning curve often is the data, right? Understanding the data. And I think for folks like you, I'm assuming that you have some level of data literacy. You know how to work with data. You know what data looks like. You're not afraid of data, right? Or anxious around data. And so that's almost half the battle. And then once you get that, and just understanding kind of how spatial data works a little bit, I think bringing data into QGIS, manipulating the data, moving the layers around, things like that, color coding them, and creating maps, that stuff will come easy, I think. And so that's my initial thought. So I would download it, go to the website, download it. There's a lot of resources there as well, in terms of manuals and stuff like that. I don't know if there's a community out there as much as like the data fam around Tableau. Like I haven't seen it as big, but I think there are a lot of resources. But if you've worked with maps at all in Tableau, you might find it easier to work with spatial data in QGIS, because it's just made like that. It's just as simple as dragging into the view, and then moving map layers around. I hope that helps.
Yeah, it does. It does. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, no questions, yeah? Hey, I think we're pretty much done with the presentation aspect. I really want to say a big thank you to all the presenters, in no particular order, Etido, Gbolahan, Idris, and Professor Dennis. It's been an absolute pleasure having you grace us with your knowledge and your experience in so many ways. Really, really appreciate it. And we're jumping into the competition now. It's going to take 30 minutes, right? And it's really nice. I think we have, how many people are going to participate? Who has like a laptop and has the appetite? How many people? You're participating. Turn on your laptop. Why you have Tableau installed? You're not participating. So we have two people. One. They're not participating. What about you? You're still living. Where are all learning? Here it's on. Okay. So we have a laptop. So one person can go. It's not complex. Okay. I think your own pair, it's not complex, right? Let me just share the details, right? So I'm just going to share my screen. This is it. And you can jump into this link, tinyurl /.com/ng-facigr. Anyway, tinyurl.com/ng-facigr. You've already seen, Professor Dennis analyze like the data, right? He's showing you how to do some, visualizing some measures over like the shape map of Nigeria. And the goal is just to design an insightful dashboard, right? It'd be nice if you could publish it to Tableau Public, There's data on Nigeria's internally generated revenue. There's also data on the federal allocation. And it actually looks like this. Let me see. All in like lower caps, please. So it looks like this. Okay, so whilst we get some feedback from Etido, the data looks like this pretty much. 3 columns. You have an additional raw data on the FAC if you want to make use of it. But yeah, and inside is anybody connected to that link? Tiny URL. Okay, it looks like this. This is the link, right? tinyurl.com/ng-facigr. Are you able to get there? Yeah.
I was using it here. I was using it here.
So I have to limit the size of the recording. I'm going to stop recording now, and I think maybe this can go up whilst the competition goes on, right? Yeah, so really happy that despite the initial setbacks, we're able to have a turnaround. So thanks very much.